Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back. So this is going to be a companion video to our top 10 books that we read in 2025. And so what is this video? It's going to be, what we're going to talk about is just a couple goals that we had for the previous year, 2025. We're going to, at the end, talk about a few things looking into this year, 2026, just kind of on the book front, like what we're looking for. Of course, it's the book front. That's our whole channel. My God. Okay, pull it together. We just recorded that like epic video. So anyway, so we're gonna do that, and then we have a bunch of kind of fun little. I'm calling it like Q&A. I don't know what this video is going to be called, but there's going to be a bunch of like categories and fun little questions we're going to answer about all the books we read, right? So, to kind of kick it off, I think it would just be better to reiterate what we said in the last video and just mention how many. The first question is, how many books did you read this year? So, do you want to say how many books you read?
Yes. God, I should have just pulled this up before hang
That's all
on.
right. I'll
Uh,
while you pull it up, I'll say mine. I read a total
yeah,
of
go.
58 books, and my goal was 50. So I like far surpassed my goal, which I was very happy about. I've had for the past couple of years been wanting to hit the 50 goal because I read 52 in 2020, and then since then I've been trying to hit that 50 again, and I finally went. I it's an all-time record for me this year, so I'm super happy about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I checked 74 books.
Well done, sir. That's very
It-
impressive to me. And as we said in the last video, you read all of those, like, just the actual books, which is amazing. I did some audiobooks, a lot of audiobooks. Um,
yep. And I read real quick, not to toot my own horn, 235 short stories.
well done. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
a lot of anthologies, a lot of short story collections. Yeah.
That's honestly amazing. It's incredible. Would you be able to remember all of them? I feel like
Oh,
that's
I
the
actually started keeping notes, like not off the top of my head, but like just the little bit I wrote about each, like gives me like a good idea of like what
right.
happened.
That makes
Which I've been
sense.
doing that for the bigger novels too now.
I
It's
find
kind
with
of like a journal, you know?
I find with novels, I'm a bit better. When I do start after when it's been a few years, I start to lose a few details. Short stories, unless it's like something really remarkable, like I have no mouth and I must scream or something like that. It's
Mhm.
it's like I don't remember a good portion of them. Anyway, was there a theme to your reading this year?
Yeah, probably like horror and found family if I had to kind of put an emphasis on theme in particular because I mean, you for people who watch the top 10 video, I like almost all my picks had some kind of horror related
Yeah,
elements to them. Like Gone South was kind of like a found family. War Arts Saga Book 3 was like a found family. So much of that kind of stuff. Uh, yeah, definitely horror. What else? Perseverance, probably. This was one superlative I didn't look too much into for like the theming and stuff,
yeah.
but
It's
like
okay. That's all right. Um,
yeah,
we actually were
or I take
similar in that regard in that I also read a lot of horror. So horror was like a big theme this year. And it wasn't just like last couple of years I've done spooky season and particularly read horror books, but I it really got spread out throughout the year. I don't know if you felt that way for
yeah,
you, but like it just
same, yeah, absolutely.
I was reading a horror book every like third or fourth book or something like that. I'm just going off the top of my head like that's probably what I would average it out to. So it was a lot. And then my real big theme this year was the apocalypse, end of the world. Dude,
Yes, yes.
just off the top of my head, The Stand, Make Room, The Dog Stars, World War Z I read, Sea of Rust, oh, I know there's more. I know there's more. I'd have to look at my list. And then I also like watched the Planet of the Apes movies, watched the 28 Days
Yeah.
Later movies. I watched the TV series of Earth Abides, which is an old post-apocalyptic book from the 40s. Like I
My God.
consumed so much end of the world stuff. We're doomed. Okay? Actually pretty appropriate for this year. But
Oh my God.
we're not
Yeah.
going to get political on this channel, but that's it's pretty appropriate. We're all cooked, as the Gen Zers like to say. Okay, were there any books that you wish you had read this year?
Wish that I thought about maybe trying to get to like The Stand this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like when like the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, like rolled around. I'm like, could I? It didn't happen. I would like to try and read it this year. And looking at some of the other books around on my shelves, it would have been nice to read a few more anthologies. And I have a few books that have been sitting on my shelf for like almost 2 years at this point that I would really like to read. Like I think one of I'll get into this if we talk about reading goals for this
Yep.
upcoming year that we're currently in, but yeah, the Stand would probably be a big one, and there was a few other books that are too numerous to mention, but it's like it's just impossible with how busy life is on
Oh,
top
of
of having a
course.
family too.
And a big book or a big series like that, you legit have to like plan out and mentally prepare for, Like it feels like that anyway.
Yeah, because one stand could be like, just because I'm looking at it, one stand could be like three Robert Sawyer books
Oh, it's so
in terms
true.
of like,
It's so true. See, that's the hard thing even when going back to like just talking about how many books you read this year. Well, it's like I don't know, I just count a book as a book, and that could be anywhere from like 100 pages, maybe even less in some cases, to like something like The Stand that is this behemoth. So it's like,
oh yeah,
but my justification is it all averages itself out because I read bigger books and then I'll read smaller books, and so like
yeah.
I feel like it averages itself out. Um, for me, I only wrote down, to be honest, I read a lot of stuff I wanted to read this year. I didn't get to the Thrawn trilogy, which I really wanted to read, so I'm gonna make sure I read that this year because I've been wanting to read the Thrawn trilogy for quite a while. And Rachel and I have talked about
Nice,
rewatching the original Star Wars trilogy again, so that would be a nice little
nice.
companion to that. And then the only other
If you,
big one that I really wish I had done was just in general. I really wanted to read more autobiographies, specifically of rock stars. I showed this. I showed this in the last video. I'd really like to read this. This is probably gonna be the next one I read, because we lost Ozzy and I love him. And then I got this a while back. This is the lead singer of Gentle Giant. He wrote a memoir,
oh, nice,
and I haven't read it yet. I
nice,
got this quite a
nice name
while.
for the memoir, by the
This
way.
it was signed too. Pretty cool.
Oh no way,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool.
His name's Derek Schulman, and he's a very interesting guy. He was the lead singer of Gentle Giant. For those who don't know, they're a prog rock band from the '70s, and he eventually became an A&R man. And well, not just that, he became like the president of several record companies, and he discovered Pantera, he discovered Dream Theater, he discovered Bon Jovi,
Wow.
bunch of bands from that era. So he became like super super successful in that regard. So anyway, I really wanted to read that. And then there's other ones I don't have that I would like to read. Like I'd like to read. I want to read all the Black Sabbath guys. They've all written a memoir. So Geezer Butler wrote one. Tony Iommi wrote one. I think Bill Ward's working on one. Um, I want to read Lemmy's autobiography, like just these rock
I'm
star
sure
stories.
that was nuts.
Sorry,
I said I'm sure Lemmy's is nuts.
considering it's called White Line Fever, I'm sure it's
Oh
fantastic.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I would like those are the big ones that I wish I had read this year. Okay, so let's get into the fun. Let's get into the fun bit of this where we just answer these random questions, and we'll try to go through them a little fast. Maybe just say a couple things on each thing. So, what was your favorite series that you started?
Ooh, okay, that I started, so not necessarily finished,
Yep.
because we're gonna do finished as well, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Started. Gonna say, honestly, gonna say Shadows of the Apt. Sun Eater is a close number two, but
Yep.
Shadows of the Apt. Adrian, the bug man, his imagination is just so like fascinating,
Yep.
and like seeing these different cultures like intermingle is like really freaking cool. uh Even though we're not done with it yet, I kind of hope he writes more in the world.
Me
Like,
too. Yeah.
now that he's writing for so much longer, it'd be interesting to see what kind of story he could write now, being a writer longer.
My
So,
my mine is also Shadows of the Apt. I put the Gormenghast trilogy, which I'll talk about that later as like a close second. But anyway, Shadows of the Apt. So like I agree with you. I think it's been fun, and I think we'll probably finish it this year. So we read half of it,
yeah.
so we got to read the other half. And I saw an interview recently with Adrian Tchaikovsky, and he said that he would love to come back to the world, but he kind of needs to see more interest in it, I guess. So
Makes sense,
I
yeah.
mean, so I would love to see him do it. So we'll see what happens. And to be fair, he's wrote a lot in that series. So I mean, I'm sure there's lots of other stuff he
Yeah.
wants to do, right?
I'm wondering if part of it's publisher pressure too, because it's like, maybe I mean, of course they didn't sell as well because it's like he wasn't as well known then.
Yeah, yeah. I think subsequently they're probably doing better, but yeah, it's not like they were a huge hit for him, right? Ah, sorry, I'm not.
Correct. Yeah,
Um,
Children of Time, his big breakthrough.
what was your for the next one? What was your favorite series finished?
I'm gonna say uh Sandman, with the Hyperion Cantos being a very close second.
Oh yeah, you. That's right. You finished. You read the other three Hyperion books. Nice.
Yes, I did. Yep, earlier in the year. Yeah, because for me, like the Sandman was pretty good consistently all throughout,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, like the Fall of Hyperion was like a 4.5 or a 5, where like Hyperion was like a 5.5 or like a 6 out of 5. Endymion, like Endymion's hard for me because after having Rise of Endymion, it totally makes sense and it
Yeah.
kind of makes up for it. Endymion just by itself is probably like a 3-star book for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then Rise of Endymion's like a solid 4, like 4.25 or something for me. So taking that into account, I would probably have to give it to Sandman because there was at least 3 or 4 volumes out of the 10 volumes of Sandman that I would give like a
Nice.
perfect like 5.
Nice.
But both very, very awesome reads.
I could see how the Endymion books would drag a little. I love them. I think they're right up with the other ones, but I totally get it. Um, for me, the obvious one, I'm not gonna say much about it, is the Lord of the Rings. I finished,
Nice.
finally read the Lord of the Rings, finished it, read the Hobbit too, right? So, I don't know what else to say about it that hasn't been said a million times over. It's a masterpiece. You know. This one I'm very interested from you because you have like over 200 of these you read. Your favorite short story?
Oh, Jesus, you're asking me to narrow it down. I think I'm going to start with the very first short story that I read that like really blew me away. The author's name is Gary A. Braunbeck, and the story's called Hasadama. It's like a detective procedural where they're like investigating a series of murders in their town. And not even kidding, the main detective comes across the Judas Iscariot from like the Bible, who's just been alive for
What?
like fucking hundreds of years, and he's basically like made a deal with God. He's basically like this emissary on God's behalf that works at like tempting people into Faustian bargains that from what I remember from the short story, like keep the universe like from ending. But like for instance, like the police officer lost his wife and son in like some kind of car accident, and like Judas is basically like, oh, for each person you kill, you push back the destruction of the universe by X amount of time, and you could spend X amount of time with the people. And it was
What?
just such a
Well,
fucking crazy out there like
yeah.
thing to read, but I'm like it like made perfect sense in like a twisted, ironic kind of way.
Hmm.
And even the name of the story refers to the like some kind of like field that was bought with like the money that Judas got from betraying Jesus. So like even the name of the short story is very well thought out.
Cool.
And then yeah, the detective basically like betrays the police force and goes on like a murdering spree to spend time with his family that are brought back from the dead. And it's just it was a crazy turn of events. I
What
was
a
like,
cool
wow.
and weird concept for a story.
I know, and then he has another story in the because these were both from the Best of Cemetery Dance Volume One, and other story was like equally as depraved but interesting too.
Nice. Um, I think you're gonna like this. My favorite, and I guess it's almost more of a novella, but I think I would call it a short story. It's close. Mine was Apt Pupil.
Yeah, that's probably still one of the most fucked up things I've ever
Yeah,
read.
by Stephen King. For those who don't know, it was in the collection that I had borrowed from you for like literally years, called Different Seasons. It's about this kid who's obsessed with like World War II and Nazis, and he hunts down this Nazi that's living near him, and he's like, "I know who you are," and all this stuff. And so he wants to hear all these stories from the former Nazi, and the former Nazi, to his credit, like wants to leave that all behind him. He's trying to forget it. Like you know what I mean? He wants out of it. And this kid's interest brings it back out of him, and the story just
Yep.
gets like really dark. It's like they're just
Oh yeah, 'cause
it's the
it's a
definition of
toxic
like a
feedback loop.
toxic relationship, you know, where they just are like drawing the worst
Bringing
out
out
of
the
each
worst in
other,
each other.
because the kid, you realize, is kind of a psychopath, and then it's like bringing all the like psychopathic tendencies of this former Nazi back out. It's fucking bonkers. It's great. It's a really great story. And a short shout out to a short story collection that I read called Rivers of Time by L. Sprague de Camp, who was a classic sci-fi author. But Rivers of Time is about it's just a series of short stories about this guy who's like a tour guide that goes into a time machine and to like the prehistoric past and takes people on hunting trips. So they hunt dinosaurs and stuff. It was fun, really fun. But yeah, Apt Pupil blew everything else away. Not that I read a lot of short stories this year. What was the most unique for you? The most unique book that you read?
Oh, that's very easy. I'm gonna look because there was quite a few. I'll only mention two. Uh, House of Leaves is probably the strangest formatted thing I've read. It's like a story within a story that might even be a story within a story three times. We know for a
What?
fact, yes, yeah, because it's about a videotape series that an old man's writing about who's now deceased that somebody else finds, except this big project the old man did about this video series apparently doesn't even exist. So this guy is like trying to figure out like what the hell this old man's writing about because it's like this incident that happened at this haunted house is apparently not even like real. And then weird stuff starts happening to the guy who's working on finishing the manuscript that the old guy wrote. It gets very meta, and there's parts in the book where you're like supposed to flip the book, refer to other pages, like things are written upside down, diagonally, sideways, like just the
Wow.
way the book is formatted is it's like a puzzle piece. And like Garrett and I talked on the phone for like 20 minutes after I finished it, and like he was saying there's so many layers to this shit, and like but
Huh.
even at just a surface level, I would highly recommend House of Leaves to anyone because
Okay.
even if you just like read it like me and like didn't bother too much with like the lore and the crazy Easter egg hunting, it was well worth the experience. And then number two, real quick. Uh, oh, by the way, the author's name is Mark Z. Daniel
Hmm.
Daniel Lusky, I think his name is. Number two is The Terror at Miskatonic Falls by Kevin Lucia and various other people. Basically, that story is a horror novel all told through prose poem. Like literally, the whole story is told across a bunch of different poems written by other horror authors.
Cool. That sounds really
Like a
cool.
town where a bunch of people have gone missing, and it's like this entity called the Long Man, and it's like this town's descent into madness. It's really a cool concept, and those are probably the two most unique things I read.
Nice, nice. I also have two, and they're both classic sci-fi. It's me. It's got to be classic sci-fi. So one I talked about in the last video, The Gods Themselves, Isaac Asimov. Totally unique. Like I said, it's almost like three stories in one. The first being like these scientists bickering with each other and like just trying to show off each. It's ridiculous. Part three is like it's almost like Asimov's version of the moon is the harsh mistress, where it all takes place on the moon, and it's interesting, but the ending kind of is just, it kind of peters off. It's not really that exciting. But the middle part of this book is ridiculous. It's about aliens, and it's like from a different dimension. It's really strange, and it's wonderful, and it's lovely and psychedelic and everything I love about classic sci-fi. So yeah, The Gods Themselves, read it. The other one was another classic sci-fi story that I read. I don't have a copy of it. I listened to an audiobook. It's called The Dreaming Jewels by Theodore Sturgeon. Now, I wanted to read Theodore Sturgeon because I realized that, number one, well, I've heard of him. He's a classic sci-fi author, but he also wrote several episodes of the original Star Trek series, so he's known for that. So he wrote a story called The Dreaming Jewels, which I really, really liked. It was great. And I don't know how to explain that, so I've very quickly just looked up a short summary of it online. So here it is. The Dreaming Jewels is a 1950 sci-fi novel about Horton Horty Bluet, an 8-year-old boy who escapes an abusive home and joins a traveling carnival, taking only his broken Jack-in-the-Box junkie with him. At the carnival, he finds acceptance among its strange performers, but soon becomes entangled in the schemes of Pierre Monetre, a disgraced scientist who has discovered intelligent alien life in the form of mysterious crystal jewels with uncanny powers. Monetre, I don't remember how to pronounce it, hopes to exploit these jewels' abilities for his own ends, while others in the troupe recognize that Horty, who has remarkable regenerative abilities and a deeper connection to the jewels, may be key either to Monetre's destructive plan or to stopping him. The story blends coming-of-age elements with themes of alien life, abuse, and the search for belonging. Very, very weird book, but very, very good. I really enjoyed it. So that's my 2. Okay, most disturbing.
Okay, there's actually there's 4, and they're all equally messed up. The one is the second piece in the Best of Cemetery Dance one by Gary A. Braunback. It's called Savior. Mm-hmm. It's about like this young kid who might be a preteen, and it basically like details him like almost like kind of like the end of At Pupil, where he goes on a killing spree where he's like fantasizing about like killing his neighbors and his family, but then it's revealed it was just him daydreaming. But the joke was that he was saving them all from like their mediocrity. I mean, not really joke, but that's what the kids thought process was. And but then when the twist is it reveals that it was just him daydreaming, it kind of ends with him still thinking about it anyway. There was that. Then there was that story Outraged by Stephen Laws I was telling you about, where this guy whose daughter got raped and then I forget if it was suicide or she died from something else, and his wife ended up dying. It drove him crazy, so he's hunting down other rapists, and he kidnaps the one local mechanic in his hometown, and he's torturing him. And the guy torturing him is, mind you, he's unhinged. He's lost his family, and the previous rapist got away and like left before like he could punish him. So he's like, I'm not letting any other rapist get away. I'm going to punish you. But the whole time the guy's claiming he's innocent. He's innocent. Well, he tortures the crap out of him, dismembers him a bit. Jesus. But the guy manages to get out, kills the torturer, and escapes. And then finally, at the very end of the story, you find out he is a piece of shit and he actually was a rapist, where it's like the whole story, you're like left guessing like, oh man, is this guy really just nuts and like he kidnapped some innocent guy? It's like, no, the whole time that guy was the scumbag that the
my God,
torturer
wow.
survives. So like the name of the story is perfect, Outrage, because it's like the bad guy gets away.
Wow.
Yep. And then one's called Drive-In Date by Joe R. Lansdale, where it's like 2 guys who are at a drive-in movie, who I'm not even kidding, are passing back and forth a corpse that they're diddling. I wish I was kidding. It is like hilariously morbid and disturbing. Like I can't even describe it. Just the way it's written, it's like, oh my God.
Ugh.
It's like a writing prompt our group staff would write.
Yes, it's cold Ethel and a skeleton. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, basically that. And
Yeah.
then the last one is The October Game by Ray Bradbury. Like when I say that story disturbed me, I mean like it disturbed me. Like I didn't know Ray could write something that honestly, I'm just gonna say it fucked up.
You know what's weird about him? You wouldn't think it because he was, he wrote in the 50s and all
Mhm.
that. And he's an older writer. But, like, to be honest, his books, when he writes horror, it gets under my
Mhm.
skin more than anybody else. I think it's his way of writing prose.
Yeah,
I think
I would think
he
so.
has a very, very colorful, flowery prose, but he can use that in a disturbing way as well.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that's what
The
it is.
October Game.
You
Highly
know,
recommend it, and it's a very short story.
nice. I also had a few for this one. I had three of them. I had App Pupil, which I already talked about. That was disturbing. So these three are disturbing on different levels. So
Mhm.
that's disturbing on like the how depraved can humans be sort of way. Then I have The Summoning, which is just like proper classic horror with a little of what I just said in it, right? Vampires and
Mhm.
like, and there's a scene with the, oh man, I just remembered the scene of that with the priest and like oh yeah, very disturbing scene in that. And then this for a whole different reason. This just felt too real, to be honest with you,
Wow.
cuz it's
Even though
like,
they were all robots. Yeah.
no, because what happens in this, I don't want to spoil it, so spoiler alert, but like it's not a big spoiler cuz they say it pretty early on. The humans are all dead because the AI like rose up and killed them all.
Hmm.
And now
But
all the
then,
AI are fighting amongst each other. So it's a very,
yeah,
very bleak depiction of a post-human world where humanity's
they
like
can't even get along.
progeny, whatever you want to call them, the robots, they're killing each other off. So it's just so bleak and dark and like it's sadly like,
It's that's kind of very Planet of the Apes, like the new, like at least the
yeah.
newer ones, where like Caesar points out that like we're no better than humans, you
And
know?
it's sadly very like, it's not out of the realm of possibility in 2026. Like with just AI and stuff, and I don't want to rant about that, but like, we've heard stuff about how like there's these AI programs that are like trying to sabotage people so they can continue to exist. It's like this is what could happen. I don't want to be a doom and gloom guy. I mean, I'm sure it's not all doom and gloom with that, but it's like it's a good reminder of like the kind of things that can happen, you know. So it was a little disturbing to me, honestly, with some stuff. So that's that one. Most hilarious. Let's lighten the mood.
Oh, there's a few that are here for sure.
I had two. I wouldn't mind saying real quick, uh,
Yeah, go for it.
just because I'll be very fast. Um, One was this the guys in Rush are
Nice.
hilarious. So like there was just some really funny stories. Like I actually thought like the story of Neil Peart when he auditioned was really funny. Um, there were so many things that he talked about like going on tour and stuff that they did that was just like really hilarious, really really funny, and it's cool because it's all stuff that actually happened. And then the other one was Yumi. I thought Yumi was that might be his funniest book. Like
Yeah, it's
like
there.
Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. For anybody who doesn't know, like there's just like really funny situations that the main characters get involved in, like um and like Hoyd, what happens with him. For anybody who knows Hoyd, like he's
I
literally a
loved all
coat
the
rack the whole book. It's just like
yeah the
so many
stuff with
funny things.
design. Yeah, the stuff
Yeah,
with design is great too because like nobody quite believes her. They just think
yeah,
she's really weird and eccentric.
yep. It had um, a very silly sort of vibe to it at times. More so than like, I know Brandon tries to inject humor, and sometimes, to be honest, it doesn't land. But I thought that one was really funny. I thought Yumi had some really really funny moments. What were your what did you think was the funniest books you read?
There was a few. There was one called The Transformation of Targ from Jack Dan. It's a short story. It's basically about like an evil overlord who wants to go good. And like he's obsessed with like being a good guy. And it's just the funniest friggin' thing because
That's
it's
great.
like his henchmen send him to like a evil advice agency, and he convinces the guy to trade places with him. So instead of being like evil advice, he takes over a consulting firm for like, but like he turns it good. And then the other guy, who's basically like a lawyer, just becomes like an evil overlord. And it was just such a hilarious palette swap type of thing.
Of course, he
And
was a
it's like all
lawyer.
his like henchmen are trying to encourage him to be bad. They're like, "Oh, like destroy a village." He's like, "It's like it might make you feel better," type of thing. And then there was one called Magic Beans by Django Wexler, which was about a dimension hopping machine that's powered by magic coffee beans, but they're activated by having sex. I'm not even kidding. It was the most fucking batshit thing I've read. It was wild.
You've had a few.
Um,
You've had a few stories like that where you've told me the premise. I'm like, what the fuck is he reading?
yeah, I know. Exactly, exactly. The Art of Legend was pretty funny. Honestly, that was great. There was a lot of hilarious stuff in Widow's Point because I told you the premise of that, right? A bunch of dumb like YouTube influencers go to a haunted lighthouse to make content,
Oh
and
God.
yeah, and hilarity ensues. And not a lot of it's funny, but it's just funny because it's like, well, of course this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And there's also a room called the shit room, so
Oh yeah, you
it's
said
exactly
that.
it's
The shit room.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Most emotional.
Ooh, I have to go down a little bit. There's actually quite a few, and two of them are actually from Richard Chismar. One's Gwendy's Final Task. The other one's The Longest December, which is like a long form novella. It's about like 80 something pages that Richard Chismar wrote. Um, Without spoilers, that one's about like a murderer that's revealed to be like a next door neighbor who the family knew for a while, and it's about like the guy coming to terms with that. Like one of his best friends is actually like a mass murderer who's finally been caught, and yeah, it's just the end of the story gets like very like dark and emotional.
Ugh.
Honestly, I would throw Horns up there for like the emotional stuff
Yeah, that
too.
was pretty. That did have some pretty emotional stuff. Yeah.
And there was two other stories, which is funny for most emotional because these two others are also from the same anthology that the Sex Machine stories from. But there's two stories: "The Last Flowers of the Spring Witch" by Sean Speakman, who's also the editor for that anthology from Unfettered 2. And then "And Men Will Mind the Mountain for Our Souls," which is cool because it's about a society of dragons that's basically been hunted to extinction, and it's from the perspective of the dragons.
Oh
So
wow.
a really neat view
I feel
on
like I
like their
would find that
culture
very
and
sad.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And their culture feels like very alien but similar at the same time.
Yeah. Nice. I have three. Um, Back to this one again. The stuff he writes about the Holocaust, man, was just sad.
Yeah,
You know, especially that it was his family. That and the stuff about Neil Peart was like, it was hard. You know, those two parts of this book, like, and what happened to Neil's family, like this was probably the saddest stuff because this was all real. You know, it wasn't just a story. And yeah, it really hit me hard, especially being a big Rush fan. Um, Two other ones. I don't have one of them's the Dog Stars that we read together.
nice.
And that one was like there was a couple of moments in that where I genuinely got like emotional, and it's the whole thing has this very melancholy tone to it. Don't Did you feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the most sort of somber post-apocalyptic story I think I've ever read. It was like there was moments where it got like a little intense, but it was over. There was overall this just like sort of hopelessness and sort of like
Yeah.
it almost
humanity is like really devolved. Yeah.
where I mean I think it overall, like, not to spoil anything, has a bit of an uplifting ending, but for a long period you're just like, wow, this is like a very depressing situation. And you can just sort of tell the main character's fighting depression, and then something happens, which I think you know, when he's out in the woods, which is just like, oh man, that happened, like it was just a
Yeah.
bummer. And then this one's entirely different, and it's going to surprise you. But Charlotte's Web.
I saw you read that on Goodreads. Yeah.
I read this with Sage, with my daughter Sage.
Yep.
She's 5,
That,
for those who don't know.
yep. That's exactly right.
And so we started reading with her proper chapter books. I haven't read this since I was in, I don't know, 3rd grade. I don't know when you actually read this. I was in school though. I was in like elementary school last time I read this. And man, it was just like, it was a cute story, and then the end, and like explaining that to her, and like
Understood.
she seemed genuinely
Yeah.
sad. It got me like emotional. Like, I'm emotional thinking about it. It's like it's just like that childhood innocence, and then like, like everybody should, I think, know the story of Charlotte's Web, and then it's like you actually have to like there's some like it's actually super heavy for a kid. Like, you're dealing with loss and like death, and then it's like, like it's almost like dealing with the cycle of life sort of thing, and then like, the new spiders come in, and like Wilbur wants friends and they all go away and he's sad, and it's like, man, this book's a little heavy for like a kid. So, and it was like, I guess just because I read that with her, and like, I mean, June was there too, but she's little, she wouldn't have understood it, and Rachel was there too, but it was just like, I don't know, it hit me a little bit. I was like, wow, this is sad. And I remember reading this when I was a kid in school and thinking it was so sad. So it's like it evoked those feelings again. So kind of a surprise, that one. um Best sequel. I think I know what you're gonna pick.
Yeah, probably Sun Eater 2. That's what I have for number
That's
one
what I
over
figured.
here.
Yeah.
But Dragonfly Falling and Salute the Dark are pretty up there, along with October Dreams too.
Yep.
I think for the most part, those were most of the only sequels that I read that didn't finish a series. So, yeah, I would go with those because it's like there's some absolutely insane stuff in Howling Dark, and a lot of it wasn't even the climax of the book.
I picked 2 or 3. 3. Dragonfly Falling. The second
Oh,
Shadows of the App book.
that really was such a blow up. Yeah.
It was the best one, I thought.
Oh, really? Even over Salute the Dark? Wow.
Well, it was close between the two of them, I guess. No, well, 2 had that, or 4 had that climax. So I'd say overall the second book was stronger throughout, but then the 4th book had that
Fair.
ending. So yeah, it was close. But yeah, I would say Dragonfly Falling. This, obviously, the Two Towers. And although, to be honest, I feel like this book is where it dragged a little bit for me.
Ah.
That one actually took me the longest to read. And then I don't have a proper cover for this, but it's I reread this fairly recently. The Ringworld Engineers.
Nice.
I liked it. It was good. It's the sequel to Ringworld by Larry Niven, which I read a few years ago. Finally read the sequel. Great. Good stuff. I like Larry Niven. Very like they go back to the ring world. You see some more of like the people that live there. They're trying to save the ring world because it's like off center and it's like kind of heading towards the sun. Really interesting, like a high sci-fi concept sort of stuff. So this is 2. We'll say it's the same question. The biggest surprise, positive and negative. So like the biggest surprise in terms of like, wow, that was really good, and the biggest surprise in like, oh, that should have been better.
Okay, cool. Well, I've already mentioned Gone South, so I'm not even going to say anything about that.
Yep.
There's a whole other video about that where Rob and I both talk about that.
Yep.
I would say Five Broken Blades is one of them by Mai Corland. I didn't realize it was good. It was a romantasy until I started reading it, but I actually liked it. Like, especially because it's like it was like a round robin of six characters. You get all their perspectives. All
Hmm.
of them are hiding shit from each other, even though they're working towards the same goal. But then when like all their backstories are like revealed like in front of each other at the end by the main antagonist, uh, then like I'm very interested to start book two because it's like now they all know each other's secrets and most of them are pissed off at each other and now they're forced to work together again and not only that but for the person they were all trying to kill they have to work for in the next book.
Oh
So
wow.
it yeah, so it was very very interesting and the world building's neat. It's very very light on the magic. The magic seems to be relegated to just like a few different like artifacts, but just the character writing was fascinating enough, and it's very fast paced and easy to read.
Cool.
Um, and then the second, it was from a book called Detours, which is a book about like it's got like interviews, scrap stories, prototype stories from different authors. I think I might have mentioned this to you. It was called "If There Were Demons, Then Perhaps There Were Angels." William Peter Blatty's own story of The Exorcist, where like he talks about how the movie was made and the studio was dicking him around, and he freaking went in and he stole the manuscript. I was like, that's so fucking gangster.
That is
Like
great.
literally,
Yeah.
he went in and I forget if it was the executive producer or director was out. He told the secretary he had something to drop off. He went into the office like jimmied like the lock on the desk or like the filing cabinet and then just fucking bounced with it. I
Oh
was
my
like, what a
god.
baller. And it's because they weren't listening to him like when they were making the movies. So like he basically used that as leverage. It's like you're not going to get this back unless you listen to me, you know.
Wow. Guy's a
It was
badass,
something
honestly.
like that. I know I might be paraphrasing, but I was like, wow, like that's what really made me want to pick it up. So like I have that nice Target copy of The Exorcist, which by the way, the dust jacket glows in the dark. It's really cool.
So cool. So cool. I'm
And then I
jealous of that. I
and
should
then I have that
get that because I love The Exorcist and I don't have a copy of it.
and then I got that sunt up edition of Legion, so I'm going to read them back to back when I read The Exorcist.
Nice. Did you have any negatives
Yes.
there? Like, was there one that was disappointing?
Yes,
Biggest
it's
surprise?
going to be the fourth Night Angel book, which is the start, I think, of a new trilogy in the Night Angel series by Brent Weeks. The book was just very, very long, and it felt bloaty, and it felt like a lot of the characters were making decisions and doing things that were kind of antithetical to like the kind of decision making and things they'd be doing in the previous trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure where the author was going with it, and for a lot of the book, it just felt like torture porn for the main character. Not like in the like a gory sense, but more like in a like an emotional and like ethical kind of
Yeah,
way, you
yeah.
know.
It's always fun when an
And
author beats the living shit out of a character, you know. But sometimes it gets a little bit too much, you know.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm like, I don't even know if I'll continue with the next one. It was just like that, dude. It was 800 pages, and
Wow. Yeah. If it's a long
I don't
slog
even
like
know
that,
if
I can
I
see
would give
it.
it 3 stars. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
like a huge commit.
Um. Okay, so I have one for each. So the pleasant surprise for me was The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula Le Guin, which
Yeah, I'm happy.
I went way more. I delved more into this book in our companion video here, but I'll just say like I wasn't expecting this book to be as good as it was because I was slightly underwhelmed by the other two. Not less
Uh-huh.
so, actually, less so the Dispossessed. The Dispossessed is great, but it just fell shut slightly short of my expectations. The Left-Handed Darkness I was expecting to be better, and it was pretty mid. So it was like, eh. This is a masterpiece. I loved this, so that was a pleasant surprise. Um, my biggest disappointment? No, well, not disappointment. This isn't the biggest disappointment for me for a book because actually enjoyed this book, but as far as a negative biggest surprise, Magica.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
And I still gave this on Goodreads like a 4 out of 5. Um, It's just that I've read 3 other stories by Clive Barker, and they were all 5 out of 5s. They were all amazing. I love his prose. I love his storytelling. I think he's unbelievably imaginative with the worlds he comes up with and the creatures and all this stuff. There was just something about this one I just couldn't quite get, you know? And I know it's brilliant. I know it's like amazing. I feel like I'm just too stupid to understand it fully. Like there were just parts of this where I'm just like,
Yeah.
what is the reconciliation? What happened? How was it reconciled? Like I get the Dominions, but like they could have gone a little more into that. At the same time, there's like a lot of like there's a lot
Very
of unnecessary
metaphysical.
shit. Some of the characters' motivations I don't really understand. I feel like this is a masterpiece and I just don't get it. But as far as an experience reading it, I gotta say I was like a little surprised how much I didn't didn't enjoy it at times, you know. That was about it.
Yeah, it's totally fair. I mean, you
Yeah.
still gave the book like a 4 to 5. That's still really good.
I
Yeah.
thought Weave World
So I
Weave World was way better. Weave World was really fantastic. And the horror stuff that Clive Barker's written is phenomenal. He's an amazing horror writer. Most epic.
Let's see. Did I even write that down? I mean, I know what I would put for that probably. It would probably be either Magica or Sandman, honestly,
Yeah.
just because scope and scale. Sun Eater would maybe be on there too, just because of like the scope, but that would probably be number 3. And I mean, I've only read the first 2 books, but it gives a pretty detailed history of like how far in the future this is in Crud, you know?
Yeah. I would agree with you on a Magica, and then I put Lord of the Rings, obviously, which I read.
Oh,
I mean, obviously Lord of the Rings. And then, spoiler alert, if anybody did not read, or excuse me, if anybody did not watch our other video, but The Stand was
yeah.
epic. Like, epic. My favorite book I read last year. And I also put Carrie and Comfort on, which was by Dan Simmons, which was also epic. Those were all very, very epic books, and I really enjoyed them all. So, let's see here. Biggest turd. Or disappointment, or even least favorite.
Yeah, we kind of covered that, right?
I'll say for me, like, because I said I was disappointed with the Magica, but I still liked it. As far as like,
Bro.
as far as like genuinely not liking the book, or I don't think I genuinely disliked any of the books, but ones that fell short. There were 2 sci-fi books that are considered all-time classics. That I just Lord of Light by Roger Zelazny is supposed to be like one of the best sci-fi books ever written. I just didn't get this book.
Oh, okay.
I tried. It was like it has something to do. It's like something about like Buddhism and like I can't even tell you what this book is about. And I read the whole book.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the worst though, because it's like you push through it and then you're still just like, huh?
I'm like, what even happened in this book? Like, and I read it over a year ago, and it's just like it just did not land. I found myself, my mind wandering when I'm reading it. When my mind starts doing that, I know it.
Yeah.
I'm doomed. You know.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like you just kind of like force yourself to finish. Dealt with the same thing with the book Roadside Picnic, which is another classic science fiction. The main character was so unlikable, and the plot was just kind of like it was better than Lord of Light, but it was disappointing. There's 2 others that were a bit. I'm not gonna say the one. I'm not gonna say the one. The last one I'll say is I read The Tainted Cup by
Yes.
what's the name of it? What's that author's name?
Name Robert Jackson Bennett or something.
Thank you, Robert Jackson Bennett.
Okay.
It wasn't a bad book. It really wasn't. But it's I read it because I was like, all right, I'm gonna read the Hugo winning book.
Yeah.
That was the Hugo winning book. I was very
Yeah.
disappointed. I'm like, okay, either the Hugos don't mean shit anymore, or nobody's writing anything good, because that was very, very mid. That was not a Hugo winning book. I was looking up other Hugo winning books. I'm like, this isn't even in the same galaxy as like some of these other books. Like what? Like it was fine. It was like a very mid, like detective fantasy kind of thing. In
Yeah, I
my
saw a
opinion.
lot of people really liked it though. I'm like,
Maybe
huh.
it's just my taste. I like if you're gonna do like detective fantasy, it's like Dresden Files already did that and did it way better.
And the thing is, I'm excited for you to finish, like to keep going with that because it's like you really liked book one, and like
I
trust me,
really
by
loved
like
it.
book
I loved
three,
book one. Yeah,
it
that's
starts getting.
only having read one book, by the way. The Tainted Cup was the most mid, predictable. Like it was not like I didn't really find the characters all that interesting.
Okay.
Something about it I just didn't like. I didn't hate it. I'm not even saying it's a bad book. I'm sure it won the Hugo for a reason, but I was just like, this is the Hugo winner,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway,
Sometimes it really is. Sometimes contests and awards can
yeah.
really just be popularity. I feel like
To be fair, I always have that reaction if there's like the Grammys or there's like something
Mhm.
like that, or there's the like the Academy Awards. I'm like, these are the movies, you know.
I know. I know.
Favorite reread? Did you reread anything this year?
Did I? That's a good question. I don't think I did, honestly. Let me just double check that. Almost positive though that I did not. Ooh, I did not. It's bullshit. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Um, good old The Room. What a
Yeah.
classic movie.
I
By
only
classic.
reread. This was my only reread, and it's a masterpiece. You know,
Oh, hell yeah.
it's a
I'm
masterpiece.
excited to reread that.
You know, I mean, like it's just unbelievable. What a great book, and it's
Yeah.
so poignant now with just everything going on. I loved it. I
Oh,
love Ray Bradbury. He's amazing, well written, amazing story. Also
yeah,
dystopian, going the theme thing.
I don't think I reread anything, by the way. I didn't even bother scrolling the rest of the way. I'm almost
Okay,
positive I didn't.
no worries. And then we're almost done here. The last question before we get into next year is favorite author you read for the first time this year.
Ooh, for the first time. Feels like the first time. Um, ooh, it might be oh god, how do you say his last name again? The Sun Eater guy. You know his
Christopher
last name.
Rocchio, I think his name is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I read Sun Eater 1 this year, so it might be him, but it also might be Joe Hill. But the thing is, I think I enjoyed Sun Eater 1 more than Heart Shaped Box, but I know I enjoyed Horns more than either of the Sun Eaters. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a hard toss. So it's probably a tie between Joe Hill and Christopher Rocchio.
Nice. Nice. There were so many, it was hard for me to pick. So I picked a guy named Mervyn Peake. And the reason I picked him
Oh,
was I read the first of the Gormenghast trilogy, which going back to oddly enough to this book, there's a chapter where Getty talks about a lot of the books they were reading at the time that influenced Neil Peart's like lyrics and stuff. And so he named a bunch of shit. He named John Wyndham, he named Robert Heinlein, he named Lord of the Rings, like Tolkien and stuff. He Everything he named I knew, except for he talked about the Gormenghast trilogy by Mervyn Peake. So I was like, well, I gotta figure out, like, my brain is like, that's the one I don't know. What is this? And he called it like a
yeah.
dark fantasy. So I was like, okay, I gotta check this out. And so Mervyn Peake was an English writer. Came out around the same time as Tolkien. Wrote the Gormenghast trilogy and some other stuff. Was very mentally ill. Died. Um, and I gotta tell you, it's some of the most unbelievable prose I've ever read. The guy
Oh
could
wow.
literally describe a fart, and it's like the most beautiful thing you've ever read in your life. And he does, like, not a fart, but like he describes like the first book, like he describes these very, very mundane things, but he does it in such a way that it's like it's so beautifully written, you know? So like while the Gormenghast first Gormenghast book wasn't even on my list of my favorite books I read this year, which I really liked. I just remembered something. Let me see. Anyway, oh yeah, yeah, I did mention the Gormenghast trilogy, but anyway, the prose was unbelievable. It was like it was some of the best prose I've ever read in my life. So like,
Wow.
and I want to read the other two books, but I actually listened to the audiobook by a guy on YouTube doing it, and he's still putting out parts of the second book. So I want to like wait till he's done, read that, because he did such a great job with the narration, and then read the third one when he does it that way. So really interesting book, very influential, and yeah, excellent writing. And I think that's all of our questions.
Cool.
So for next year, there's just a couple little things. Did you have a goal? This is probably more for me. You don't seem as into this. Do you have a goal for the amount of books you want to read next year? No.
Nope.
I've done 50 the last few years. I originally thought maybe 55, but since I did 58 this year, I'm gonna try to get 60 this year.
There you go. That I feel like that's a very healthy expectation
Yeah.
too.
I got a feeling I might not even make it, but if I can do 60, I'd be really happy. If I do 55, I'm happy, really. I feel like we may be on the same page with this one. What's your most anticipated book for next year that's coming out? And by next year, I mean this like 2026. So this year.
Probably Children of Strife. Probably.
Same. Yeah.
Brandon. Oh yeah, I don't know if we talked about this, but Brandon apparently has another friggin' secret project. Did you know about that?
Yeah, I saw it.
I was about to say, are you surprised?
No, not
Yeah.
at all. Not at all. I will say
Yeah.
the thing I'm most
I-
looking forward to is Ghost Bloods whenever that comes out, but
Yes, especially with the way that like Lost Metal ended and like Wind and Truth ended. Yeah, for sure.
until you told me, I had no idea Children of Strife was coming out. So it's a pleasant
No, I
surprise.
learned it as soon as I told you, dude. I was like, what?
Yeah, I had no
I
idea.
yeah, I found out in that Broken Binding Tchaikovsky interview. I was like, oh, this is news to me.
I'll be honest, I thought the trilogy was done. I didn't realize he was making a fourth one, but good on him.
Same. Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll probably read that together. Okay, very last question, and then we're finally done here. What series do you want to tackle next year?
Technically, I'm already tackling it. The Dark Tower. I've already read one book.
Yep, true.
So that would be it for series. I mean, I can think of a few more. There's the Weirdwood series by, I believe the author's name is R.J. Barker. Rosie and I might do a buddy read for that. It's a trilogy.
Nice.
I don't know much about it other than that it looked interesting and I bought it. And I'm looking at them right there. They're Broken Binding editions. There's another trilogy I got called, I think the author's name is Mike Shackle or something Shackle. I think it's called We Are the Dead trilogy, or that might be the name of one of the books.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had them for a while and I want to read that. Sean Speakman wrote a fantasy series, and the first one's called The Tempered Steel of Antiquity Grey. And he wrote a prequel called The Undone Life of... is that The Undone Life? Sorry, yeah, the foil was hard to read. The Undone Life of Jack Dreth, that's also in the same universe that I want to read.
Cool.
I think next year my goal I want to read more fantasy and sci-fi. And I have anthologies in those genres and stuff too, so I could get away with that with short stories. And nothing against horror, like I think I just want a little more variety next year, you know.
2025 was your year of diving into horror, I think. It seemed like it. You know?
And I'm sure there'll still be more to come. I still have a bunch of horror books on the shelves, like in my to be read area here too.
For me, for series, there's a few. Number one, finish Shadows of the Apt with you, which I think we'll do.
Oh yeah, Dur. But I guess I didn't count that because we'd already started it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So we have 5 books left in that, for those who don't know. I mentioned this, I think, on my. Did it? It doesn't matter. I thought I had mentioned this already. Maybe I didn't. Um, I want to finally read the Thrawn trilogy this year, which I'm gonna try to prioritize because I'm planning. Like I said, Rachel and I will probably watch Star Wars again this year, so maybe I'll read it around then. Start it or something around then.
If you're interested in Thrawn, you should watch Rebels. It's really good.
Yeah, I know Thrawn is in Rebels, so maybe I'll go
Yeah.
back to that. But I want to properly read the trilogy first.
Oh yeah, by all means.
This one, this next two, very much. This is just stuff. I know I'm not gonna get to all this next year. I'm just putting that out there. This is just stuff that I have that's like next in the queue, basically. So this pretty much this one definitely hinges on us finishing Shadows of the App. So it'd be cool if we finish Shadows of the App and we could start this by the end of the year. But I know you and I talked about tackling the whole Riverworld series together.
Yeah,
I would love to do that, including rereading this because I loved this book and it's already been like 3 or 4 years since I've read it. So I would still start here even though I've read this.
Yeah, that one was one of the strangest concepts I've read.
Very weird.
Yeah.
So this, I don't think we've ever read a sci-fi series together, so this would be really fun. And then on that note, this might be something.
True, because we had read Children of Time separately, and then we did Children.
Yeah. On that note, I think this is something we could probably do this year, even in between Shadows of the App, because they're so short and so easy to read. But Robert Sawyer's Farseer trilogy would be really fun, and it's about that is a T-Rex. It is about a like race of sentient T-Rexes, which is pretty amazing, and it's a trilogy. So I think we could probably weave this in somewhere, And then there's 2 other ones. I don't think I'm gonna get to either of them, but I would have loved to. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. One of them is I really want to read the Elric of Melonborn series, which is written by Michael Moorcock, and I loved his Dancers at the End of Time trilogy. I thought they were fabulous. And Elric is apparently like super influential on like dark fantasy. It kind of wrote the book on dark fantasy and like the concept of like the anti-hero in fantasy. So like it was like super influential to like The Witcher and like what else? Like basically any kind of like dark fantasy owes something to Elric. And I've heard about it for a long time, so eventually I want to read that. If I don't get to it, I don't get to it. And the last one, and this one's going to make you laugh your ass off, but believe it or not, it's been like over 10 years since I've read this series. I kind of want to revisit Song of Ice and Fire.
I mean, I can't blame you. You've read them, like, they're good for the
Yeah.
most part.
I'm thinking about either, like, I've already read them, so it's like, I'm thinking about either just reading the first 3, because the first 3 books are perfect. They are brilliant. They are masterpieces.
Now, I was about to say the first 4 seasons are basically the first 3 books, right?
Exactly, yeah. They are
And I would say
masterpieces.
this is some of the best seasons of television I've ever watched. Yeah.
Also, I love this is Rachel's copy, this like original, like very shiny copy. It's so good. So I'm thinking in the next year or 2, I want to finally reread that because it'll probably be coming on like 15 years since I've read that series for the first time, which is kind of crazy. And that's that. That's what I'm hoping for next year.
Cool.
We did it.
We did it. Go team.
So this was an epic 2-part video. This is normally 1 part, so we'll see how long it'll be. Thanks everybody who stuck it to the end, including us, because it's getting late where I am and where Matt is, and we've been recording for hours.
Holy moly, it's
it's
the
late.
time. Wow.
But this was epic. We do this once a year, so I would expect for sure to see us do a huge roundup next year, as we always do, of all the books we read. And I'll be posting our previous videos along with this stuff throughout the next few months, so you can look at the previous years and whatever. And I'm sure Matt and I'll do occasional stuff here and there, right? So whether solo or together, but thanks for checking this out, guys. Please like it, subscribe, all that stuff. Anything you want to say, Matt?
Yes.
Take us out.
Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry if we made any errors. It's
Yeah.
the work night, it's sort of the weekend. We're elderly, we're parents. It's
Yeah, we're
our
elderly in our
brains.
late 30s.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks again, Matt, and also like honestly, while we're on here, thanks for like all the amazing read-alongs, and you gave me some really awesome books, and it's been, as always, a lot of fun, buddy. I really enjoy it. It's a highlight of my life. So I enjoy
Anytime,
it.
buddy. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
been a lot of fun.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.
See ya.
Adios.
Bye.